Storytellers. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make an emerald broken glass texture. Let's get started. So, first off, we are going to delete the default cube. Then, we are going to add a mesh. In this case, it's going to be a plane. Now that we have our plane, go to the Shading tab. Press New for New Texture. Shift A and find a Mix RGB node. Then Shift A again and look for a color ramp. Shift A one more time and find a Voronoi texture. Control T for Node Wrangler and output the object output of the texture coordinate to the vector input of the mapping node. Then output the color of the Voronoi texture to the color ramp. Then output the color ramp to the factor of the mix RGB. Then output the mix RGB to the base color of your principled BSDF. Make one of the colors darker on your mix RGB node. Let's zoom in a little bit now so that we can get a better look at our texture. Duplicate the mix RGB node, save it for later, and let's adjust this accordingly. I'm going to leave this on linear and you'll see why in a minute. So we are going to adjust it to our liking, and then we're going to set our colors. I am going to make this emerald green, sort of like a vintage glass bottle kind of color, somewhere around there. Next, we're going to set up our bump map. Duplicate the color ramp, output the color to the factor, output the Voronoi color to the factor of the second color ramp, and do as before with the second mix RGB node. Then output that mix RGB node to a bump node, and output that mix RGB node to the height of a bump node, and then output the bump node to the normal of the principled BSDF. Then adjust accordingly. I am going to set this to ease and adjust as I would like. Also, I'm going to change this Voronoi texture from F1 to smooth F1 and adjust the smoothness accordingly. There we go. Then I'm going to adjust the bump map, and there we go. Now it's starting to look a little bit like cracked glass. Next, we are going to make our roughness map. Duplicate the mix RGB node attached to the bump map node and duplicate the color ramp. You could also add a new color ramp, but I am doing this to save time. Output the color of the Voronoi texture to the color ramp, and then output the mix RGB node to the transmission layer of your principled BSDF, and then output that as well to the transmission roughness. Also, be sure to put the specular all the way down to 0, the sheen tint and clear coat roughness all the way down to 0. We're leaving the normal roughness of the principled BSDF alone for now, because we're going to do something with it in a minute. Next, duplicate the node again, the mix RGB node again, and for the final time, connect the fourth color ramp and connect that color ramp to the Voronoi texture. Then output this mix RGB node to the roughness. Okay, now that we have that all set up, go to your render view, go to cycles, GPU if you have one, denoising if you wish. Alright, I'm going to move our light to the center so that we can take a look at how our textures come along. I'm going to move that a little bit down so that it will shine through it. And as you can see, it's starting to look a little bit like broken glass. But let's fiddle with it a little bit. So for our roughness, we're going to slowly but surely edit it till we like it where we want it. And in addition to the transmission and the transmission roughness, you'll adjust it to where you want it. I'm going to make this slightly lighter. Same with the roughness. There we go. Going to bring that back down again. And then just the bump a little bit. Oh, wait, no, not that. I'm going to adjust this a little bit. Slightly. Okay. Now I'm going to adjust the scale of the Voronoi texture. And we're going to test it out with the light. Just move the light to different areas of your texture to see how it looks. Shine it underneath. Shine it on top. Zoom out. Just make sure it looks all good and well. And for a little bit of added detail, if you want to, add a noise texture. Go move your color ramp node so that you have enough room. And output, get another color ramp or duplicate one. Output the noise texture to another mix RGB node. Then output that mix RGB node to the darkest color of your bump map mix RGB node. Then Control T for Node Wrangler. Set that to object. Fiddle with the noise a little bit. Add a little bit of distortion. Add a little bit less roughness. Fiddle with the color ramp. And there we go. Now let's move our light around again, just to see how it looks. All right, now that we see it looks a little strange from that angle, let's change this color a little bit now. Make that more prominent. There we go. Let's change our roughness a little bit. For roughness, darker is always less rough. The wider the color, it's more rough. And then let's change our transparency a little bit. Let's put a little bit less distortion on our noise texture. Let's put a little bit more roughness there. And then change the scale a little bit. And there we go. There's our cracked glass texture. Alright guys, Hope this tutorial was useful, and have a nice day.